Welcome back, everyone. So this is the Pain Train. Finally finished it. As I have been working on it for a few months, on and off. Oddly enough, for what I could find online, doesn't actually help. So with this, it does actually revolve around technically melee and unarmed damage. But for what I've read online, Pain Train is supposed to work off different damage altogether, which I don't exactly know what type of stuff, but yes, for what I've read up, although probably nothing's actually been updated online and that, but yeah, for what I read was apparently melee damage stuff wasn't supposed to work with it, but I can't remember actually off the top of my head what it was, but there was a couple of things that were. There are a couple melee perks that I think don't, which I don't think I've included them, or it might have been an effect or something. I can't fully remember that. But yes, as that's literally why this has taken so long to get ready, because there's been a lot of testing, and I have literally improved it just slightly more earlier this morning, doing stuff, because one of the effects I'll get to soon with the armor, that actually got changed, but there is. I would say that the old ones you kind of could still use technically, but they're not actually not going to be as worth it than the new sort of effects on it that I've got. So, but anyway, let's get into it. So for the perk, so as well, this is technically about legionaries. Only legionary I do have is the electrical absorption. We'll just go that very quickly. So that it's more so technically for survivability plus kind of utility. For that reason of it will recharge your fusion cores. So with obviously Pain Train, it's literally running an enemy, so you're kind of going to be using out your fusion core a bit. With any other perks, there was one I was looking. Yeah, so it's stuff like collateral damage. I was thinking about that, but I don't know if that does work. But I also don't think it would be worth it. As well, I don't really want to use really too many legionaries and stuff. I was going to put out a poll. I do have some other builds I'm still working on. I've still prepared a poll thing. As this, I'm not going to be working on them until the March update, just because I know armor's changing. So I really don't want to be getting too much into too many builds with knowing that stuff's going to be changing, because I know there's going to be a massive change. But yes, that's the other one, and the other one was taking one for the team is also one that would work for that reason, as enemies are shooting you. They'll see with some of that is essentially they shoot you, you're going to deal more damage back to them when you run into them. So that is an alternative for that, but those are probably the only two I would say to use. So for our base perks, again, this stuff, that's why I do kind of want to use legendaries, because there were a few more perks I could have squeezed into this, but as is, that's a yay no on that one. As bad as is, that will depend on that poll when I get that out. As is, I will see if people actually want me to have legendary perks invested. For that reason, I think after the March update, taking legendary perk cards off no longer require legendary perk points or something. So, as is, that's all stuff I'll work out in the future. Anyway, let's properly, I suppose, realistically, yes, properly get in this now. So yes, so we've got 15 strength, the 5 perception, 8 endurance, 6 charisma, 6 intelligence, 8 agility, and 8 luck. So full strength with bloodletter, I can't remember what it is. I think it's the effects on the armor that do the Pain Train, or it might have been Pain Train that do the bleeding. I have to look at that. But yes, bloodletter, scatter shot. I've said this before, I love it for that reason of essentially the bit of extra damage, for that reason of if you run into something, well, with this stuff, you're doing about nearly 2,000 damage per hit. So it is great, and there's a few more buffs I haven't even tested yet, but I will be showing those. Iron Fist, so oddly enough, Pain Train counts as fist damage, but also counts, I think, as unarmed damage. Which I don't know if fist and unarmed are in the same category. They technically are. But yeah, I don't know if they would be, because I know technically a boxing glove or knuckles would be technically a melee weapon, so but then they are technically a fist weapon. So it's, yeah, I don't know on that. I don't know if boxing gloves as well. That's another build I'm going to work on, but I don't know if Iron Fist would affect stuff like boxing gloves, because again, they're technically fist weapons. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the main of this one is Pain Train. So fully charged, that is essentially utility, just so you essentially, as is not, well actually, what was that? Yeah, sprinting, using no extra power, fusion core stuff, so that is looks for that, although I suppose you don't actually need, now that I've actually just realised that, I do put on perks and forget what I did put on, so you could actually, thinking about that now, if you wanted to, you could actually take out, if you aren't too worried about your fusion core stuff, you can take out fully charged and put in brick wall so you can't be staggered. Incisor, that's literally for that reason of the melee and fist weapons. Again, it's weird, Pain Train counts as technically melee / fist weapons. But anyway, yes, that's for armor penetration and bone shatterer. If you aren't a ghoul, I would probably say you could chuck on something like Barbarian. If you don't want, if you want to take off fully charged, again for a human for that part, take off fully charged, take off Bone Shatterer and chuck on Barbarian and Blocker. I don't think there would be any other ones to put on, but yeah, something like that would work. Oh, it's Sfaznut. I've just realized that. Why did I start recording now for? I don't know. Anyway. So we have Number Cruncher. That kind of, it's hard actually to tell, I would admit, because as you'll be able to see, the full damage that you actually get, it's hard to actually see at times. That's why I have to actually do it on bigger or tougher enemies, because usually supermutants go down one hit. But Number Cruncher kind of only seems to increase it by like maybe 10, 20 points of damage, so it's kind of a yay now on that one if you do really want that. Tormentor, you deal more damage per crippled limb. That is literally only for to work in with Scatter Shot. So most enemies will probably actually kill before you can cripple their limb, ironically enough. But sometimes you cripple their legs. So those are kind of two working with each other. Life Giver for that reason. Tankiness, same thing with Ironclad. Glowing Gun is to keep the rads up. Again, if you're not... if you're a human, I would then say to chuck on something like maybe Fireproof, possibly something like that. I don't know, and maybe Photosynthesis, maybe, I don't know, something like that, I suppose, and or Nocturnal. I'm not 100% sure that one. That again, this is kind of around a ghoul build for again maximum damage output. Strength in numbers for obvious reasons, utility. Now, Feral Presence, really good one, that. With it, while Feral, you reduce your target's damage output, so that's kind of survivability plus damage. I suppose survivability as well, technically, because you can, I suppose, take more hits. And United Ordnance, again, if you're not a ghoul, I don't actually know what you chuck on if you weren't a ghoul. Again, I don't make these for humans and ghouls, but I will still take time as we're doing this to still work stuff out. I suppose you could put on suppressors, maybe, for the third one. And I suppose Tenderizer, something like that. If you're not a ghoul, I'd then say, yeah, put on suppressors for the reduced target's damage output, because that's technically like that. So actually, yeah, they're practically identical. Reduces your target's damage output by 30%. So the only real difference is Feral Presence is like 3 seconds longer. So yeah, I'd say yes. If you are a human, then Suppressor and Tenderizer. I suppose it actually gives you more damage all up. Actually, still not a ghoul. I suppose I could chuck that. I don't know. Actually, no, I won't do it. But yes, it is also for a team, but we don't have that. Power Armor Fusion Core duration is now doubled. As well, actually, just thinking back as well, Power Armor stuff. What was it? So fully charged, even though that does say about with the whole sprinting won't consume extra fusion core, that's also it's still going to drain your shooting core over time anyway. So Science Monster Wall, you have Glow, you gain 15 damage bonus for 10 seconds upon getting hit. Same sort of thing, seeing you running in the stuff. With the weapon I'll show as well, you actually get Glow back as long as your Glow's still high enough and you're running in the stuff. But yeah, same thing at that is essentially as long as you've got your Glow up still, you can then have the extra damage running the stuff. More or less, you end up, most things as is, you'll one-shot most things with it. Action Boy and Action Ghoul, same sort of thing for the AP regeneration for running. Adrenaline for that sort of thing, more damage. Bloodied Mess, so that's literally for the whole... Because we do bleed, it essentially gives us a chance to make enemies explode. So if you've got a heap of ghouls around you, if that thing procs, that essentially explodes, and then it essentially will either end up killing the rest of the ghouls around it, or it should end up more or less dealing damage. Same thing, Ricochet, damage / survivability, class freak utility, junk shield, survivability, and battle genes. That's the same sort of thing, survivability. So for the weapons and armor, actually I suppose we should show it on that one. Again, that's alien power armor. That's another build coming out as is soon enough. That's where we've got the legs. So with the legs, we've got the adrenal. Same sort of thing I did last time. I do like these perks, but again, this also does make more sense for that reason. Pain Train, you're not really... Most things you're fighting as is you kill in one hit, and you're kind of not... It's not really a one-on-one thing. Also, I suppose you could technically take on a Scorch Beast with this if you're able to cripple it. Or again, if you're on a team, you have some people to down the Scorch Beast, and you just pain train straight into it. So good times. Rushing, so as is for the action point sort of stuff on the kill streak. Same sort of thing like that, as I literally just said, is literally just going to be essentially running and stuff, killing them. So it's literally everything that works like that. I've also got the, what is it? The Azor, yes, Pain Train, or the Choo Choo effect. Thirst Hikers, that's probably going to be most stuff for that reason, for just the... I think probably food, drinks, and chem is stuff that nearly everyone has the most of. Also on this, you're kind of only carrying around really 1 to 2 weapons, I suppose. So that's again, yay, nay on what you bring. What is that one? That's also the leg. Yes, it is. So for the torso, that one has the Pain Train. So everything's practically the same. The reflective assembly, that one, melee attackers bleed for 150 damage. That also proc Bloodied Mess. Again, that's also for stuff for something like ghouls or something. If you get swarmed when they deal damage to you, even if you can't sort of... if you're going up stuff against like Death Claws and stuff like that, when they melee shot you, and if they do stagger you, that's literally for that. So you can essentially still dish out damage to them, even without actually essentially applying damage or essentially running them. So that's essentially the idea around that. So essential thing, adrenal, pain, and as is, so the arms have the Pain Train. You also could change out, I mean, if you're fine with your health, if your health is up, you could change all of this to the, what was it again, rushing to get more AP. Although again, with battle genes, and again, you're supposed to kind of, it's supposed to keep your glow up high for this build, but then again, that's the, I suppose actually as well, as you could just have one of these. I don't know, but it's again more for the more you're killing. It's kind of that backup for if you do lose all your glow. You're not. It's not a relying on the glow build. It's something that has that damage output. And again, if you do get in a situation where you can't charge into something, that say if you do get swarmed by ghouls, as long as you've killed enough of them sort of thing before you get swarmed, that health generation from that will kick in, and then the proc off the chest piece will still happen. And again, you can also still use your melee weapon sort of thing with this stuff. Again, there's that many ways actually to build something like this as well. Same thing for adrenal. You could go with something else, but I see it as with all the armor, technically, if that's doing 10 max, That's technically means you're getting like an extra 500 in damage and energy resist as well, for anyone wondering for this, so you'll be literally really tanky. So these were the ones I was kind of using. So these did the melee attacks apply bleed and radiation on contact. So with these ones, your unarmed energy damage. You could also chuck on, if you do have the points, chuck on, I suppose, what you call it, science to increase that damage by a bit more, I suppose. That's another thing I suppose you could also do. But yes, these I was running around with, because I thought the Ultra Braces were dealing a heap of damage. They only dealt like 1 to 2 damage, or at least what I could see. Because I was getting like 500 or 600 damage at times proccing. That was actually the bleed. So I did swap those out, and the damage went up from like 700 with this stuff to like about the 2000 of these ones. Or if you do want, you could have half and half type of thing. I will show that one off when we get to that. So I still don't know if exactly the limb damage as is for the weapon. I think I said that. Anyway, yeah, so for the weapon, that I don't know if the limb damage and armor penetration actually works with this, but for I understand, the onslaught works. The limb damage from that effect, still don't know on that one either, but the glowing does work, and the polish does work. Another weapon you could use is the icebreaker. Now, I don't think it does exactly deal more damage, so to speak, but it kind of does work with that one perk that increases their damage and stuff, but you kind of do get an ice effect using that, so I do like that. But yes, I kind of see it as use this one. There is actually, if you don't want the crippling, there is I only found out again about it earlier, is the 2-star for melee weapons. There's a one called like pickpocket. So when you're killing stuff, you can it gives you caps, like a small amount. So with this, if you're just running in the stuff, you can easily do that. So yes, there's so many ways with these builds. And that's what I do like with these type of builds, is I could kind of build them like 5 or 6 different ways over with different stuff. But yes, it's always trying to find the right stuff for them. Number crunch is what I was thinking about as well with that stuff. So for stats and effects, we got as well. Feral strength does increase stuff. Adrenal reaction, carnivore, marsupial, speed demon, talons, and twisted muscles. Now again, I'm quite sure talons and twisted muscles work for that reason of the 50% bleed damage for 5 seconds, and the melee damage and limb damage. That's to my knowledge that should work, because again, it does seem to work with melee and unarmed. Don't think there's any other ones. So food and sort of drinks. There are a few things here, and again, that will change if you are in a team and you have the strength in numbers. Some of these will enhance even more. So again, if you can make them, if you're looking for your best of the best, it would be the Deathclaw Wallion. I don't know how to pronounce that, but yes, that one to give you 6 strength. As well, actually, our output for stats is like this, so stuff's low. Endurance and agility is low, so when you actually are running, you do use up a fair bit of AP fairly quickly. But this is what these buffs are for. But I will actually go with the Deathclaw Steak, because I don't think the Whalon people are going to be able to make as much, because I mean, it does require salt and pepper, but again, you probably could get that a bit. Although with actually, I don't know. I mean, it's like with the Mutant Hound, the tasty stuff. So that's to increase your melee damage up to that. But then the ribs, the Jaguar ribs, the Mutant Hound chops, and the glowing meat, they also do by 80. So I'll do the normal Deathclaw Steak. I'll do the mutton chops. Also, if you take 2 of these, they'll still only give you the one sort of melee damage increase. Too bad it wouldn't give you, like, if you took all 3, you'd get like 3 different buffs from it. It'd be amazing. The roasted scorched heart for the increased endurance. and the smoked lung for agility, and there was, I do believe there is one for luck. I will show. Try and find it. I thought I did make it, but yeah, there is a death claw, a scorch beast part that does increase your luck, which again that will help with bloody mess. Also, you will see it doesn't cost me anything crafting. I do have look shit that on just for that reason, just make stuff like this go a lot quicker and easier. Should be, where is it? For luck. That one, no. I thought I did make one up. Where was it for luck? Well, there we go. I suppose iguana suit would work. So no more. It's going to annoy me now because I know there is one. At least I'm quite sure there is that. Yeah. So Scorched Beast liver. That is also for your luck. Scorched Beast liver. So with that, that's kind of what you're going to be coming out with. So that should proc some stuff pretty easily.
Despite common beliefs.
Now we'll show the mole miners if they'll even survive long enough. That's kind of going to be the thing, as well. I do have a little bit of lag. That's only because of where I am, as is for trying to connect server and stuff. That's only problem of online games usually is. So, you know, in Australia, it's, as you will usually notice with stuff, there is a slight lag at times, so it's not always the greatest. So again, if you're essentially got better Wi-Fi closer to the 76 servers, it's obviously going to change a bit in terms of the, so to speak, quality of what you're going to get. But anyway, so with like this, it's like, boom, just running them, and literally like that. So that, as we can still see there, that was about 2,400, and that's also again with the adrenaline stuff working. So by me, and again, if you do have stuff, we'll try it on the suit unit. Also, kind of remembered, I haven't said about we're gonna now it's the testing part. I normally say that in the videos, but yeah, I forgot. But anyway, let's test this then. So, ironically enough, I actually had to test this out on the Super Mutant Behemoth, because he's about the one of the only dudes who can survive a running with Pain Train. It's quite funny, but it essentially cuts through everything. And again, you don't really have to be carrying around too many weapons and stuff. Where's my one weapon? There we go. Try and get his attention to come over here. There we go. Oh, my helmet's not on. Really wish that would get fixed. That is so annoying when you have the disguise on as a ghoul that does happen. So like with that, so well, as we can see there, that little bit of proc damage, but there was that damage. This is kind of the reason why I do want to have, actually I will show with the other braces. So that damage does decrease, so we do have that little bit of damage, but that 600 odd damage is not the other stuff, so that's really only the poison, which is doing 7 damage, so not great, but you could do a bit of both, unless as well if you had the one thing that does like the more damage if they're poisoned, I suppose. But there, so yeah, there we go. So that's the beauty of this. So that's why I was saying about with the one perk card with not Number Cruncher, with this one. So Tormentor. Now I'm going to be dealing extra damage, but Scatter Shot for that reason, that damage that went essentially everywhere. So we've got half crippled limbs. So we got 2 legs, right arm's nearly gone. Is that gonna work? No, oh, he's back up. There we go. Although, so that did about 800 damage, and then that does about 2,000. So the damage is slightly different. So if I switch back to the gun, okay, it didn't show us exactly, but yes. It does definitely seem like the mallet hammer thing does definitely work a lot better with it, for that reason of you essentially, it does look like very much so it does work. And I mean, again, if Furious is working, obviously all the damage stuff is going to be increasing a bit more. I will try and... Sometimes everything, he'll just wake up and realize you're here. So I'm going to try and... there we go. Try and get everyone here. Oh, I'm already... Well, there we go. But didn't even have to really do anything then. Just sprinted very, very slightly. Try and get everyone up. Try and get everyone up and moving around. And again, this is sort of the thing, is that you're pretty tanky by all means with it. I mean, I'm actually healing. I'm actually healing pretty good, actually. Okay, now I'm not. But this is sort of the thing with it, is like with that. So that was the bloody mess triggering. As we could still see, there was the there's not enough enemies. Funnily enough, there is not enough enemies. And I literally... So there, that was 2,600 damage. So, theoretically, I mean, you could take this into the... What's his name? So again, a little bit less damage there, but you can sort of work that one out of what you're roughly going to be getting. Although, if we take the better stake, the better melee damage, is that going to buff it up to about 3,000? Okay, so nearly 3,000. So yeah, you could actually push this build all the way up to 3,000 damage, which actually I will show. We'll go up to Ohio, the Burning Springs area. Now, admittedly though, you're not as strong against these death claws, so just take note and be wary at times. But ideally, again, you should be able to do a bit of damage. So again, that whoop. There we go. Was that some... Oh, it's one of the good ghouls that give you a good amount of chems. You don't see them too often. But if we go in here and we start waking everything up... And again, you kind of... as if you got enough agility, I mean, yes, you can run for a while, but the idea is essentially like for the bigger enemies like this will be, it's essentially like a when it wakes up from there, is pretty much charge into it and you charge past it kind of. So that there was a what do they call, like the soft spot where you run to. Boom, just broke its leg. So, oh my. Oh, and it's dead. So within 3 charges, the Rustic Deathclaw matriarch is gone. So that is literally the power of this, is you can do a fair bit. So practically nothing can stand in front of you for very long. And again, if we do get some changes to stuff, that also changes a bit on what this stuff could do. And it's like that, so boom. It's already crippled, and then one more charge. But see, this is like I was saying, sometimes you charge and it doesn't actually hit anything. Wow. But yes, as literally enough for a show around of how powerful this can be. But as is, by all means, with something like this, you could actually run with a few modifications actually. Now again, if you are playing human and you do have legendary perks, you could buff your intelligence and charisma up high and take a few more perk cards and stuff. Actually, I will show very quickly at West Tech. That realistically, you could run West Tech for your XP and stuff for something like this for that reason. Of you're literally just running in the stuff and killing it essentially in one hit. So not a lot can actually stop you. And again, with the damage output, you can raise most of your stats up as high as you want. If you probably want to get your damage up a tad higher, I would say instead of the AP regeneration, you put on all for strength. But again, it's like with that, it's like I don't really know what the actual health of most of these enemies are. But again, great thing with it is literally usually not able to do enough damage. I mean, these kind of might. but most times you're gonna keep your glow up, and then boom, that's... So again, as long as they're also in a small enough area as well, I suppose, if that's... Oh. Okay, I was gonna say, I don't know if that was me, but yes, now it's apparently the truck exploding. But it's like that, so boom, bloody mess procs, everything around you essentially gets hit with it. So yes, phenomenal. There we go. So that did about nearly over 3,000 damage actually. But yes, oh, what do we got? What's firing at me? Ah, we've got one brave student left. Actually, can you? I suppose you could. There we go. Now I've just figured that one out. If you really wanted to make sure you lock onto your target, go for VATS. Let's try actually down here. So, yeah, realistically, if you got enough VATS and stuff, you just be like that. Wow, I've just learned that one now. There's a... That works great. Never miss your target with VATS, even in Pain Train mode. I mean, as well, like, how are they going to get away from you unless they can't? I mean, unless they outrun you. But it's like with that, it's just... They can't outrun you because you're literally locked on them. So yes, that's a... What, did I miss something? Ah, there's the mutant hound. Boom. So yeah, I've just improved my build even better slightly with VATS apparently. VATS works great with melee, Pain Train. Anyway, as this, hope one has enjoyed. And as I did say earlier, is as I do have more builds, but they'll wait until after the March update for that reason of armor and stuff. I'm gonna have to rework some of my armors. I think some of the perks and stuff are changing. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But as is, yes, probably the next build will be an alien build. Again, with power armor sort of thing. Hopefully we get some more alien weapons actually at some point. That'd be cool. I might have to look that up, see if we are supposed to be getting any more of that. Because I know Aliens Beyond is coming out sometime. So, yes, don't know. But anyway, as is, hope one has enjoyed. Shall see everybody next time.